One of the themes we see in the Gospels is on faith. Consider this. In the 13th Sunday in Ordinary Time Year B, that is last Sunday's Gospel reading, there were two stories on healing. And woven into these two stories on healing is the idea of faith. As we remember, the woman who has suffered hemorrhages for 12 years received the healing she desired for through her faith. Recall too that it was Jairus who came to Jesus in faith to ask for healing for his daughter. And he received it through his faith. In fact, it was Jesus who says to Jairus, "Do not be afraid, just have faith." Now, here is the important point to note. Those who have faith in Jesus receive what they were seeking for. And in the gospel reading for the 14th Sunday in Ordinary Time, we see the change. We see the theme from faith to a lack of faith. Take a look at the Gospel of St. Mark, chapter 6, verses 1 to 6, and you'll know what I mean. Here's what it says. Jesus departed from there and came to his native place, accompanied by his disciples. When the Sabbath came, he began to teach in the synagogue, and many who heard him were astonished. They said, "Where did this man get all this? What kind of wisdom has been given him? What mighty deeds are wrought by his hands? Is he not the carpenter, the son of Mary, and the brother of James and Joseph and Judas and Simon? And are not his sisters here with us?" And they took offense at him. So then, what is going on here? Well, after going through the towns and villages in Galilee, healing the sick of their infirmities and proclaiming the message of the kingdom, Jesus now returns to his hometown, that is, in Nazareth. The people in his hometown thought they knew who he was. They thought they knew that he is the son of a carpenter, and they took offense at him immediately for astonishing them with great wisdom. Now, what we see clearly here is that those who have witnessed Jesus' power over nature through the calming of the storm out at sea, for example, or over sickness through the stories of healing, they become amazed. And their amazement led to faith. Their amazement led them to deepen their belief in Jesus. Now, when Jesus came to his own hometown, he was also performing great powers. But the difference is that the people there lacked faith. The people there basically judged Jesus without examining the evidence of who Jesus is. And because of their lack of faith, the Gospels tell us that Jesus was not able to perform any mighty deeds there, apart from curing a few sick people by laying hands on them. And so then here, as we reflect on this gospel reading for the 14th Sunday in Ordinary Time, I'd like to share two important points for us to consider as we reflect on this very gospel passage. Point number one, the invitation of Jesus Christ to believe. The invitation of Christ to have faith. You see, just like the stories in the Gospel of St. Mark, Jesus came to call people to become disciples. As people came to listen to Jesus and to witness to his power and miracles, they are drawn to deepen their faith in Jesus. And just like the gospel story today, there are many people who refuse to hear Jesus, who refuse to acknowledge who Jesus is all about. And in fact, many modern societies, for example, are quick to judge. They're quick to judge who Jesus is before even allowing him a chance to enter into their life. You see, in many ways, there is no room for Jesus. And so like people in Jesus' hometown, they are unable to see beyond the preconceived judgments of who Jesus is and to let the evidence of what is taking place present themselves, the miracles, the healings, the powers, etc. So then, are we willing to be open? That's right. Are we willing to be open to allow Jesus to work miracles and wonders in our own life? Which then brings us to the second point I'd like to share here. And that is, a prophet is not without honor except in his native place and among his own kin and in his own house. This is actually quite significant. You see, in the past, the people of Israel rejected the various prophets sent by God to call people to repentance. Take a look at the Old Testament prophets, for example, and you'll know what I mean. People don't want to hear or to listen to these prophets. They ignore them, they want to get rid of them. And in the same way, as Jesus is returning to his own hometown to proclaim to them the message of the good news, the people in his own hometown, just like the Israelites, refuse to accept him because they thought they know who he is. You see, the problem is that the people in his hometown were not open to recognizing who Jesus is. The problem is that they are not open to discovering who Jesus is. They simply said, well, this can't be, because they believed they knew Jesus well enough. They thought he is the carpenter's son. They know who Jesus is. But as we see in this reading, though, in this gospel passage, is quite different. And you see, through their lack of faith, they did not go deeper in discovering, in exploring, in searching for the truth of the matter, for searching for Jesus in their life. Friends, here's the important point for the gospel passage for this Sunday. Jesus came to his own native place and received no welcome, no respect, because the people there lacked faith. And why is that? Because they thought they knew who Jesus is. But as we see, they didn't. Now, the people around the surrounding towns, they came to Jesus because they heard about his great works. They came to Jesus because they heard about the various witness testimonies and they want to see for themselves. And these points draw them to deeper faith in Jesus, and it drew them to greater faith. And so the key point to discuss what passage is this: to be open to God's work in the world and to be open to God's work in our life. And so then, let me ask you, how well do you know Jesus? How well do you really know Jesus? You see, the people in Jesus' hometown thought they know him. They thought they know Jesus so well that he is not capable of doing the amazing things that others have witnessed to. But as you can see, the difference is quite significant. May God bless you.